I guess then I don't understand the proper attitude toward resistance. I remember your upstream, downstream analogy, and that resistance were like rocks in the stream, and you could tell that they were sort of blocking the flow of the water because how the water splashed off of them. And my attitude was remove all the rocks as much as possible.
But our attitude is, if you focus on the stream, it will pull you through the rocks. In other words, it will carry you above them. We've offered a lot of analogies about resistance. We know if you're in a car going 100 miles an hour and you hit a tree, it's more problematic than if you're going 5 miles an hour and hit a tree. But slowing the car down usually isn't the option. It's releasing the resistance that is the option. But this is the way you release resistance. You release resistance by training your thoughts into less resistance. And we want you to feel with us that the fastest way to train your thoughts into less resistance is to deactivate the thought. But to deactivate the thought, you have to withdraw your attention from it. In other words, we have never seen anyone solve a problem by focusing on the problem. As long as the problem is what's active in their vibration, the problem just gets bigger and bigger until finally it gets so big that they have a sort of breakdown where they have to let go of it, and then things get better for a while. Do you know the physical human subject that is responsible for the most releasing of wads of resistance is falling in love? Now, it's interesting because one might say, well, how could somebody fall in love when they've got wads of resistance? Well, they've got wads of resistance relative to some things, maybe not relative to that. But when they find something that feels good to them and they give their undivided attention, do you remember falling in love? Do you remember when it's all you wanted to think about? How can I carve out time to be with this person, and how long can I be there? All I want, it's all I want, it's all I want. I just want to, and when I'm not with that person, I want to think about that person. And when I'm with that person, I want to think about that person. And when I'm not with that person, I just want to think about that person. Please don't make me think about anything else. I don't want to think about anything else. This is the most life-giving, good-feeling thought I've ever had. That's what that feeling of being in love is, you see. So by focusing on that, you're not focused on that. In other words, that is the fastest way into the vortex that we've ever seen. But when people don't know what they're doing, they don't know why. They don't know that they found a positive object of attention and that they are giving their undivided attention to that positive attention, and that they are letting this love affair call their vibration upward. And you know people, you've seen them fall in love. Their life gets better and better and better and better and better on all fronts, not just the being in love front. Don't you know that? Don't you remember it yourself? Don't you still wish that you could go back and be in love again? You can. So what were the present properties? What made that easy? What made it easy? Well, it was fresh and new. You didn't know much about the person. You hadn't had that tell me about yourself conversation where everything starts going south. You were still optimistic. You were still letting them be the fantasy that you'd conjured. You were still tuned in to who you are and what you are and what you really want and what you really wanted. In other words, you hadn't begun facing reality about it. You were flying high. And that's what we're wanting you to get the sense of. That's what this all is about, you see. If we could just convince you that everything that you want is vibrationally there, and that all you've got to do is stop doing that thing you do that's keeping you from it. So how do you stop doing that thing? You do something else. And we've offered you a cajillion something else's to do. Find a little better feeling thought, meditate. Lobotomies, we don't really recommend, but you would leave a lot behind with that.